You should, of course, already be using CSS to style your web pages, having a clean division between markup and presentation, just like we want a clean division between markup and behavior. And the great thing is, JavaScript will allow us to make our presentation and our styles dynamic, just like we can make the actual content on our HTML dynamic. And here's how we do it. The most direct way is that we can set inline styles on an element directly from JavaScript. Step one, as ever, is to grab the element using, say, document.getElementById, and then we use its .style property to apply a CSS style. Now what we're using here are the same styles we'd use in a CSS document. So for example, color equals red. And any acceptable value in a CSS file can be used here in our JavaScript. So we could use, say, hexadecimal colors instead. Or myElement.style.left equals 40 pixels, or .style.backgroundRepeat equals repeat-x. Now, one thing to note, you do have all the usual CSS style properties available, but they might have to be written a little differently, and here's why. So let's say we take an example of pure CSS in a CSS file. Well, it's equivalent to set in JavaScript. Looks kind of similar. We'd say myElement.style.width for width, or myElement.style.color for color. But when it comes to font-weight in CSS, that becomes font weight in JavaScript with the W capitalized. Same thing with background color. So anything that would be written with a dash or hyphen in CSS becomes camel-cased in JavaScript. You remove the dash and any subsequent word becomes capitalized. Now this is not JavaScript just being different for the sake of it. Think about it. We can't put a dash in our code. That's how we subtract in JavaScript. And because there doesn't need to be white space between our operators, JavaScript here would think we're trying to perform a subtraction. myElement.style.background minus color, or font minus weight just wouldn't work. So we do camel case. Now when you're setting these properties, you always set them as a string. And if they need units when written in CSS, you pass units in JavaScript. So notice that we have the width is equal to px for pixels. We need the leading hash or leading pound sign, if you prefer, for the hexadecimal colors. And one thing to take care of, if you're used to writing a lot of CSS, and it's second nature to write, say, 230px semicolon, you don't want to put that semicolon inside the double quotes that you're setting the property to. Yes, sure, we use the semicolon in JavaScript, but it's outside the quotes to end the statement. Now, if you have predefined classes in your CSS file and you'd like to just use JavaScript to apply an entire class to an element, we can do that too. So we had myElement.style, we could think we might have myElement.class, but here's the problem. It's not just the word class. You see, class is a special name in most programming languages. It's to do with object orientation. And even though we don't use the word class in JavaScript, it is a reserved word and you're not allowed to use it. So the property we actually set is class name. We grab the element and set its .className property to whatever the name of your class is in your CSS file. If you need to clear it, you could actually clear it just by setting it equal to an empty string. So let's see a couple of examples.